a lot of interviews and podcasts and stuff talk about the founder and the business, which I think we've done well. I think it's really important to highlight the team, right? None of this would have been possible without the folks at Peak, and there's so many people there that are amazing, super talented, world-class architects. Came up from amazing universities, amazing architecture programs, same from the construction side, the engineering side, the design side, finance side, family office side. So I think that's just such a big, crucial part of building a business and maintaining a business, is like the quality of the people. And so I think the biggest recommendation I would share with listeners, friends, family, whoever, is hire slow and fire fast. And it's all about the people, right? They're an extension of you and how you do things. And you're only as good as your weakest link. So make sure everyone on your team is an all-star and a true player, and you'll be set up for success.
What if the most intricate homes on earth were guided not by blueprints alone, but by empathy, patience, and a steady hand? Today, Grant joins us to unpack the moment he stepped from a Bay Area family office into the unknown and founded Peak Projects, an owner's rep firm trusted to shepherd one-of-a-kind builds from idea to keys in hand. The near miss when an intermediary hid the truth, the reset that saved the project, and the wild, wide canvases of the Mountain West, where ranches become playgrounds of rivers, skate parks, and insane utilities. You'll hear how Peak Projects acts as an orchestrator, not builder, and why speed, clarity, and the very human touch still win in an AI-tinged world. Stay with us through the final chapter. You'll leave with concrete lessons you can apply to any high-stakes project. Grant, welcome to the One Away Show.
Brian, thanks so much for having me.
It's great to have you. So Grant, what is your one-away moment that you want to share with us today?
My one-away moment is founding Peak Projects.
All right. Just leave us on the cliff, why don't you? Tell us about Peak. Tell us how you founded Peak. What led you to Peak? I mean, give us all the details.
All right. Well, it's taken many steps back. I grew up in rural Michigan. Mom was a teacher. Dad was a wastewater treatment consultant. But they were both very handy and just very kind, loving people. And I think that upbringing led me to learn to love to work with my hands, love to interact with all types of people, and treat everyone with respect and kindness, no matter, who they are, where they came from. And, I took that through high school, through college at Brown. And then as I went and worked in the Bay Area right after college, first at DPR, and then at a large family office, loved building tangible things and loved building amazing relationships. And the family office work is really where I got exposed to ultra high, customizable, detailed residential real estate projects. And I saw a need for empathetic, rigorous owner's representation in the market. So, mustered up the courage in 2014 to go off on my own and start Peak.
Nice. All right. I want to get there. I want to get to these beautiful homes that you built for some probably incredible people and probably just amazing homes that you're proud of. But before we do, you're a little kid growing up rural Michigan. Did you ever see yourself, were you gazing up at the stars at night thinking, I'm going to go build an incredible company one day? Or was that just I'm just curious, where was your mind then versus ultimately what you ended up doing?
Yeah, from an early age, I was infatuated with art, and my grandfather was an amazing sculptor and drawer and painter. My mom's dad, and then my own father was a ceramicist. We had a wheel and a kiln in the basement, and he would do that at night. And I kind of learned how to do that. And through the younger years, loved to draw and loved to build things. Outside of art, more model rockets. I was big into skateboarding and snowboarding. So built, jumps, half pipes, rails with wood in the summer and with snow in the winter, and just loved building things. And then, into high school, most of my friends were, flipping burgers or, working at the golf course. And I ran a landscaping business and the kind of a minor home improvement business. I was mowing everyone's lawn and building decks, painting houses, and doing all that jazz. Could work my own hours, made a lot more money than my friends, and it was fun to, build tangible things.
Yeah, got it. Sounds like you had the hard work gene, born with. You were born with hard working gene, and you found different ways to express it growing up, and then clearly have utilized it in different ways. So, you talked about working at the private equity or the family office, right? Family office.
Yep, family office.
And you were saying, you said you saw the opportunity for customizable or individualized real estate properties on the residential side. What ultimately led you to seeing that opportunity in the first place?
I was at the single family office for about 7 years, and there we managed all aspects of the principal's real estate endeavors. So we would help them do due diligence and acquire properties. We'd help them interview design and construction teams, and then we'd help support that team through design, permitting, and construction. And we would facilitate and project manage everything on behalf of the principals who didn't have the expertise or time with which to do so. And that was really fun and rewarding. We got to work with, some of the world's best architects and builders, in the Bay Area and out east, do some interesting boat and plane projects. And I was just fascinated that there was this whole sector of homes being built for, essentially the 1% of the 1%, and how creative and unique and artistic they were and complicated. And at the end of that tenure, some folks approached me and were like, Grant, we like you and what you do. We have some other clients and, want to know if you'd be interested in working for them. And that was the light bulb moment. Like, there's other people out there that need these services. There's probably a whole heck of a lot of people out there who need these services. I'm a hardworking, diligent person. I'm excelling at the family office. I can excel for other people and, build a business around this.
It's amazing that, you saw you were sought out, right, for the way you showed up and your skill set, that you took advantage of. Sounds like the opportunity firsthand to just double down, and they saw something in you. But it's one thing to have an opportunity and see it, but clearly something resonated with you where you're like, this is a really good idea. This is unique. This is worth digging further into. What was it about creating maybe more custom properties, creating homes for the top 1% of the 1% that was I want to do that. I would love to hear a little bit more behind that answer.
Yeah, we loved, or the team and I at the family office just loved the process of designing and building beautiful custom homes. We loved interfacing with the creatives on the front end and love interfacing with the builders to actually turn that plan set into, a built structure and all the trials and tribulations that go along with it. No project is the same in this world. Every project is essentially a one-of-a-kind prototype for a different client in a different place at a different point in time with a different cast of characters. And it was just amazing to work with different types of people, understand how they tick, what they need to be successful, and helping them execute flawlessly. And at the end of the day, you have this amazing structure and, a super happy, satisfied client that gets to use it and build memories in it for many generations to come. And so at the family office, I got to experience that. And I knew that there were other clients out there who needed help doing exactly what I was good at. And I wanted to work for different types of people. I always love a challenge, and working for different types of people is challenging. You learn a lot from each and every relationship. And then also I wanted to work with different architects in different places, right? At the family office, we were working with a similar proven network group in Silicon Valley, and I wanted to work outside of there for different people and with different consultants. And that was also a big driving force to start Peak. In addition to, I was influenced heavy by technology and the tech companies in the Bay Area. Many of my friends I lived with worked at Facebook and Google. My wife worked for Google, and I loved the corporate culture of those places. It was very progressive, employee centric, and employee focused. And I didn't really find that was the case in the AEC community, architect, engineering, construction community. So I also wanted to create a very unique company culture, that rivaled those tech firms, right? So I wanted to deliver amazing work with interesting people, and build a unique company culture where I could attract and hire, the best and brightest in the industry to kind of do what it is what we do.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's cool that you pulled from your wife and friends saying, I want this culture, but I also want to do something unique and maybe my way. Maybe not fall in with the rest of the San Francisco crowd and go work in tech like them, but, take skill sets, you learned growing up and maybe apply it in a different way and what you learned at the family office, and, really play a role in shaping the industry in a different way. One thing that I was thinking about as you were talking was, as you're doing these custom builds for these people, these are people with, wealth and have the ability to really develop a property and with all the bells and whistles. How have you been able to find those people? How do you start thinking about, all right, these are the people who can afford it. Here's where I find them, and convince them that instead of going and building residential neighborhood X, Y, or to buy pre-existing property, we should do something like fully custom for you. Like, walk me down the sales process and discovery process.
Early on, at the family office, we were just supporting, one client. When I went off on my own and started Peak, we initially were consulting back to the family office, and then we had one other client for the first few months, and I was heads down doing long hours, really great work for that one client. And the partners on that project took notice and started to refer me to other clients of theirs. And so it was just very slow organic growth from year one. I think good work begets more work. And so doing a good job on those early projects, and then doing a really good job on the second, third, and fourth projects really helped build my and Peak's reputation as being, an amazing owner's representative firm that was kind of doing it different than the existing incumbents.
Yeah, there's a quote. It's like, opportunity handled well leads to more opportunity. So
you nailed
totally.
it. That's it.
So talk to me a bit. So, it sounds like you started small, you got one thing going really well, you built on the success of that one thing. Here's a question I was thinking about is, I'm sure you've had some amazing homes and you could look back and say, like, these few stand out, and I'd love to hear those. But I have to imagine, given the type of clientele, given the customality of what you're doing, like, there's probably not been some situations that have gone perfectly to plan, or the customer maybe, all the money they're spending, something got screwed up. Like, I'd love to hear like a near failure or a potential failure that you completely turned around type of story. What happened and how you overcame it. Is that okay to go there?
It is. I got to abide by a lot of NDAs, but I can talk at a high level. So early on, I had a couple great clients, and the inflection point was really one individual client who had an array of projects, like upwards of 5. And so obtaining that contract was huge for Peak, right? And we going from X amount of projects to X plus 5. Brought on additional staff with which to support that growing client and project list. And those projects were not just in San Francisco, they were spread out, across the continent, some even outside. And so, being able to diligently manage all of those projects, be the single source of truth and interface for the client and all those different teams was challenging. I think from a kind of internal business perspective, as the company grew over the years, I probably held on to too much scope myself. For many years, I did everything from Dropbox management to team selection to team management to interfacing with ultra high net worth individuals, right? Earlier on, I should have hired an EA. I should have hired more finance and ops people sooner. That's what I should have done earlier. On the project perspective, on one of those initial projects, we have a lot of interesting dynamics with some of these clients. Sometimes we don't get to interface directly with the client. Sometimes we're interfacing directly with a family office, a legal entity, a confidant, what have you. And with one particular project, we took on a very large scale project. We did not have a direct relationship with the client. We went through an intermediary. And one of our biggest value adds is providing objective budgetary guidance very early on, right? With just a few pages of plans or a simple scope list and some conversations with the client, we can put together a reasonably accurate, within a range, preliminary development budget. So the client and everyone on the team can understand what this idea might cost, right? This is going to be between $30 and $40 million. And we break that down from soft costs, hard costs, landscaping, FF&E, insurance, miscellaneous contingency, et cetera, right? We were presenting that budgetary info and that schedule to the intermediary, right? That intermediary, failed to deliver that information directly to the client. So that started to build. And over time, the budget got increased, the schedule got longer, and and we were under the impression that the owner was getting that information. It all came to a blow up down the road where, I think that person finally did present that information to the client. The client was very irate, and kind of took it out on everyone on the team, and did so in a pretty brutal manner. And so coming back from that was kind of trying to realign the team, studying out better comms and communication. We got the intermediary on board. That allowed us to then directly interface with that client, and ended up turning around the project. We ended up building something a lot less than where we had gotten to at the end of that exercise. But in the end, the client was still happy with the outcome, and we could still deliver significant value.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, it seems like a great learning lesson, especially to learn early and never work with an intermediary, because this is such a personal touch and taste. So that makes a ton of sense, but nice on turning it around. If you're a founder looking to grow without raising capital or giving up control, Relent is built for you. Founded by entrepreneurs who've scaled without outside funding, Relent helps companies find and retain talent, lower operational costs, and reinvest in growth. We've hired nearly 10 team members through Relent and streamlined our entire cost structure, freeing up capital to put toward what matters most. Even small teams can set up offshore operations quickly, compliantly, and without heavy infrastructure. With deep expertise in the India-US corridor, Relent combines cultural fluency with operational rigor and guides everything from team design to long-term scaling. Grow on your terms and start with Relent. To learn more, visit relent.team/arcbound. Now let me flip the question around. For a large budget, like I'm sure you have a couple of projects. I'm sure you can't say everything, but when you look back on some of the projects that you have done, what are one or two that just really stand out where you were like, oh my God, this was an incredible experience. What we started with to where we finished, I just maybe didn't even see, but we executed on. And what comes to mind when I ask you that?
We're currently operating, all across the continent, Canada, Mexico, but primarily in the United States. We have teams in San Francisco, LA, the Mountain West, and the East Coast. The Mountain West, as you can imagine, that's big plots of land, a lot of room to do cool and unique things with. So we've done a number of projects, many hundred to many thousand acre ranches with substantial infrastructure, horizontal infrastructure, insane utilities, a number of different types of structures aside from just homes and guest homes and pools, many sports complexes, lakes, rivers, and streams, climbing walls, skate parks. You name it. We've kind of done it in a variety of projects in the Mountain West, which has been super fun, super interesting, and it's really expanded our knowledge of all these unique scopes and the people that can deliver those unique scopes at this level.
Yeah, super cool. I know you probably have to answer more vaguely and you can't really share who and how, and totally get that, but it's cool that you're global, or at least you're all over beyond just the United States, but clearly into some territory, and I'm sure have been creative. Now, let me ask you this. When you first started the company, Peak Projects, was this your vision from the start, or did this expand over time? What did you see when you were first entering this space? Was it this creative vision, we're going to go operate globally, or we're going to do all these amazing projects in all these different regions? It seems like this has expanded in a really beautiful way, but you have to start somewhere.
Definitely. The day I started Peak, the goal was just to work for amazing clients who respected me and our services and do beautiful work wherever that may be. I knew that would lead us to different places because these types of clients like to build in amazing places all over the continent and the globe. So, I didn't write it down and say I want to be this big by this date. I knew it would lead to this type of growth and doing stuff in amazing places. But the size and timeline was more unknown in those early days.
Yeah, for sure. Makes total sense. But it seems like you had a vision to do excellent work for amazing people, and you knew the byproduct of doing that would take you on a pretty epic journey if handled well. So, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Grant, you've clearly built a pretty interesting company. How do you balance customization with scale of demand, right? Because you're not building residential communities that 80% of the house is the same.
Yep. So we're a professional services firm. We are not a design firm, an architect. We are not a general contractor or builder. So we are essentially an orchestrator, of the custom residential orchestra. So we're helping clients. We're advising them along the way. A lot of our deliverables are our advice and documentation with which they can make informed decisions from. And so because we're a professional service model, that's been allowed us to scale more easily than, say, a brick and mortar company or a general contracting business that has heavy infrastructure and locational needs. And so that's really how we've been able to do it and provide a high level of customization at scale. I think our team is very nimble. At the family office, we had to work around the clock and provide answers to things within minutes. And I think I took that learning and applied it to Peak. Right, we are there to meet every need and demand of our client in real time as quickly as possible. And we're leveraging, software and technology with which to help us do that. But a lot of it is just hard work ethic and responsiveness, intuition and rigor. And I think that our team, we hire well for that. And that allows us to serve our clients well and be super flexible wherever the project needs and wherever the project is.
Yeah. Awesome. Maybe I didn't put two and two together. In my head, I thought you were building two, but I might have missed that. But interesting. Okay. Now that makes sense. So you're doing all the front end work. You're kind of guiding the project, how it's going to get off the ground, the cost, all the pieces. And then as the project goes onward, kind of guiding clients through that project to make sure it's execute. Got it. So it sounds like builders hire you guys in a way to kind of keep things moving according to plan. So you have a pretty big responsibility in getting things across the finish line. Is that fair?
That's fair. And a lot of our industry partners are our referral partners as well. Architects, interior designers, landscape architects, general contractors, specialty consultants. They know that when Peak is on board, their job is going to get a lot easier. we're handling the client management, and we're handling a lot of the project administration that kind of loosely and haphazardly falls on them in a project where they don't have a peak projects or another stellar owner's rep. And we're helping them get paid quickly, and we're helping the client make durable, fast decisions to get those partners what they need to execute their scope of work. And so our industry partners, including builders, really like us on projects. We help them have better projects. And so that's why they are, big partners and referrals and advocates, of us on projects.
Super cool. And when you look at like the business today, I mean, what's nice about your world is, I mean, it's not like, you could probably make a case for it, but it's not like like the responsibility that you have in these projects. Like it's not, you can automate it to a degree, but like having the human involved is, I think, super important given the customality of what you're doing. But like as, we evolve in this world, and as things evolve and shift, and, we can do things faster. Like what are the things that you're thinking about right now as a business leader and saying, all right, we're in professional services. How can we streamline things, make them better, faster, more leaner, efficient, right? To serve, the market and just, evolve with the times of like where we are today.
Yeah, great question. Twofold, internally, we want to be not just the best owner's representative firm, in the country. We want to be one of the best privately held companies operationally in the country. We want to leverage, OKRs and goal setting and amazing management practices. And so we're always trying to learn, whether it's through my people at YPO or the top business books or podcasts. Like, I think we're a learning organization, and we really want to learn and understand what's the latest and greatest out there. How are people doing things and running businesses the most effectively and efficiently? And so we're doing that internally, all the time. And I think we're constantly also evolving. We have a standard scope and we have a standard set of deliverables. And right now we're doing them in a certain way, but to stay at the top of the game, how can we tweak them so they're easier to understand and comprehend? How can we leverage tools to make what we do easier for our team? And the big topic now is AI, right? How is AI going to impact the world or your work? And I think we're going to leverage it a lot, right? We're leveraging it for meeting transcripts, finding things through, our project files. But we're really hesitant to leverage it holistically yet until we can really understand more the privacy concerns. A lot of our projects are NDA and we have private confidential information, and we need to really respect that. And what we're doing, helping clients along a custom home built journey is so personable. A lot of that can't be automated, right? Getting ready for those conversations and analyzing different bids from different GCs can be done, but how that gets presented, needs to have a human touch, a confident, calm human touch. And so we're trying to leverage software in a way that makes it easier and for us to have more insightful insights, but we're still going to do our in-person client meetings and all of our comms with that, peak human touch.
Yeah. That's awesome. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's, as you were describing what you were doing, I was like, it's neat because it's like, I don't see someone operating with their computer telling them how this is going to go. Given this is a baby in a way for these people spending the money that they are, and you can't really place the emotional side of this work. I'm sure it covers a lot of pieces. So cool.
You're right. We're providing an experience, not just a service, right? And AI can't provide an experience. It can provide insights and data, but how we interact with the team, how we advise, how we guide, that's really like, something that a human can and should do and will continue to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Grant, I mean, it seems like you've had a pretty big growth journey as a company, but obviously, the more the company grows and as you've evolved, that's probably required a level of kind of personal evolution too. Like, what do you think on a personal level the company has forced you to grow into, learn, evolve, to be able to get to where you are and what you've been able to do?
Yeah, I touched on it a little bit earlier, but being able to delegate effectively, um, it's really forced me to hire great people, leverage them, and get out of their way, right, and let them excel. That was the biggest learning thing. I think that really unlocked our growth and potential. Around 2019, 2020, where we went from, a localized company based in San Francisco to more of a regional based company in LA, the Mountain West, and then the East Coast. So hiring well and delegating were two of the main things that really unlocked our success, and things that I had to learn probably took longer than they should for me.
Yeah. I think we can all learn a little bit more from delegating and giving up control, and then trusting that control, and then it's hard to do for sure. And then sometimes you do it too much, and then you get smacked. So
yeah, it's very hard to let go. I think another huge thing was really leveraging coaches and communities, right? I think for the first many years it was just heads down, executing and building peak. And when I started to leverage communities like YPO and my larger friend network and school alumni network, professional communities like AIA and whatnot, and YPO, those things really helped give me an idea on how other people are doing it, and gave me context with which to be a better leader, and both personally and professionally. I think that's huge. Coaches are a great asset, and should be leveraged in all aspects of life, especially business.
Yeah. I mean, on that note, I think it's awesome that you're like a learner. You brought up some learning culture into your org. You're clearly trying to learn and soak up from other people and how they do it to make things better. As you look, I mean, tell me this, like when you look at all that you have learned to date, all that you have absorbed, as you look at the future and you look at, where you want the organization to be or would love for it to be, like, what does that look like to you? And how do you know if you got there or achieved it?
Great question. I think about that daily. I think that there's just so much more we can do and can evolve to. We are not actively have a foothold in Florida. That's kind of our next market to really go after. We have active projects in Florida and the Caribbean, but hiring a leader there, building a presence around them, that's kind of first and foremost the next piece of business that we want to accomplish, the end of this year, Q1 of next year. And after that, right now we're focusing on, say, 95% high-end residential homes, right? We also want to do select design-led commercial and hospitality projects. And so we want to do those type of projects in all of our existing regions. And so that's another growth opportunity that we want to get into. I think on the larger 3 and 5 year plan, Europe and Asia are definitely there. And, I think we want to go international, and we want to build teams similarly to how we built them in the States to support projects abroad. We just love helping people have a positive experience with real estate development, and have a great proven system and great people, and want to just continue to help more people and more project teams around the country. So that's kind of the long-term vision.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, you're going to be on every continent before we know it. What about Africa? They have some beautiful, beautiful structures in Africa. So
they do. We actually, we did look at a project in Morocco with a South American architect. It was amazing. We were excited about it. And then it ended up kind of getting put on pause and not panning out. But that's what's exciting about this job. People are building amazing things in all parts of the world, and it's fun to learn about that place and how the building ecosystem works and what clients and teams need to be successful and make it all happen for them.
Yeah, that's super cool. I mean, I'm sure too you get to learn about a lot of different architectures and so much stuff. Have you? Let me ask you this: like for your own home and your own like taste in design, or just, I mean, obviously not a design shop, but like how is like what you do maybe influence like how you like decisions, purchases that you make, or you think about your own home as you think like what, I mean, I'm sure you're seeing it at like the top of the market across so many things. So I'm just curious, like, how does that trickle down in a way for, you as a person, the way it's developed, Grant?
Yes. I've always loved amazing furniture. Ever since I was in high school, and then especially in college. I went to Brown, but took a bunch of classes at RISD, which is an art school down the road in Providence from Brown, and built furniture and lights. And so I've always been a big fan of furniture. Architecture is very expensive, right? Furniture is a little less expensive. So over the years, I've collected some fun pieces of furniture and art. People often say, "Oh, you started this company. You must live in an amazing home." And I have a great home. Don't get me wrong, but it's no architectural masterpiece. It works for us. It's 35 years old. And I have 3 young boys. They're 5, 7, and 9, and they have proven to me that I probably shouldn't have a nice home anytime soon. So I'm doing drywall repair on the regular with those guys. So I have a great home. It's somewhat modest, I think, which is good for the kids' upbringing. They can beat it up, and then maybe when I'm old, my wife and I can design something small and cool, for us when the young whippersnappers are out of the house.
There you go. Well, that's cool. So you're letting your boys be the men that they're going to be, and be the rambunctious selves that they are. So that's cool. Grant, what have I not asked you that we should like we've talked on like some really cool stuff. It's amazing to see this company that you've built, the homes you've touched, people you've but is there anything that you'd like to speak to that I just wouldn't even know to say, Grant, we should talk about this?
Yeah. I think, a lot of interviews and podcasts and stuff talk about the founder and the business, which I think we've done well. I think it's really important to highlight the team, right? None of this would have been possible without the folks at Peak. And there's so many people there that are amazing, super talented, world-class architects. Came up from amazing universities, amazing architecture programs. Same from the construction side, the engineering side, the design side, finance side, family office side. So I think that's just such a big, crucial part of building a business and maintaining a business, is like the quality of the people. And so I think the biggest recommendation I would share with listeners, friends, family, whoever, is hire slow and fire fast. And it's all about the people, right? They're an extension of you and how you do things. And, you're only as good as your weakest link. So make sure everyone on your team is an all-star and, a true player, and you'll be set up for success.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Well, it's cool that you really take care of the team. It's cool that you care about the people who, you've really come up with, and, it's amazing to see what you built and follow along the journey. Grant, where can people find Peak? Where can people find you? Reach out, see all the amazing work you're doing in the world.
We're working on that. A lot of the stuff is protected by NDA, but we're slowly and surely publishing some work, which is continuing to come out, which is great. But you can find more information about Peak Projects at peakprojects.com on our website, Peak Projects LLC on Instagram, and then we have an active LinkedIn page on there as well as the rest of our regional leaders and executive team and the rest of the awesome folks at Peak.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for the time today. It's amazing. You're doing things at the top. I love the name and love to focus, and just make you very consistent at all the things you do. And it's cool to get to know you.
I appreciate the time and platform. Thank you, Brian.
We've traveled from rural Michigan workshops to sprawling ranches in the Mountain West, and from a tense intermediary-driven crisis towards a hard-won turnaround. Along the way, Grant drew the line between data and experience. using tools for insight while keeping guidance unmistakably human. We heard how excellence compounds into referrals, how an owner's rep can make every partner faster and better, and why the real moat is a bench of A players who are trusted and let loose to do their best work. If today's journey gave you a new lens on building anything ambitious, share this episode with someone steering a complex project, and please leave a quick review. It helps more listeners find stories like this. New episodes drop every Tuesdays and Fridays. I'll see you next time.